Before I begin the session, do let me know in the comment section, like where are you guys from and what's your branch and all of those stuff in the comment section. Would love to read all of that. So without further ado, getting into this session, guys, yeah, introducing about myself. My name is Chanda Harshita, going to be the host for today's afternoon, and I'm pursuing my BTech Computer Science with specialization in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I'm a public speaker, host, and an anchor of LPU, and I love hosting sessions like this, with wonderful people like you. So yeah, I could see some responses coming up in the chat, like Ludhiana, BCA, okay, BCA, okay, so many people from BCA, that's fantastic. Okay, Ranchi, Amritsar. Okay, you guys are very near to the university already. So I think most of you might have already visited the university, and yeah, that's fantastic. So, guys, today we are going to have an interaction session with the expert himself today. So I feel extremely elated and delighted to welcome all the new students and newbies today to this freshman induction by one of India's most reputed and renowned universities, the family of lovely professional university, guys. Today we will be having such an amazing session. Okay, so many people are asking me about the Google Meet link, but it's okay. All of you can be seeing the expert joining us today either way. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. I can see a lot of response coming up in the chat, and trust me, LP is going to cause a lot of transformation and elevation, in you, to altogether a new horizon, making you all nationally and internationally deserving. And so stay tuned. So today we have our expert joining us. So I welcome you all to this session of interaction with industry stalwarts today. So I would like to take the privilege to acknowledge the presence of our industry stalwart expert for the day, Mr. Rahul Narvekar, sir, who is the CEO and founder of Indian Network, joining us today on this very virtual platform. Also an alumnus of Harvard Business School, starting his first venture in 1994 in the advertising space. He co-founded Asia's first interactive music channel in 1998 called the Channel Oxygen in Mumbai, which went from 0 to 2 crores of revenue. So let us see some more virtual claps coming up in the chat. Sir was also a senior manager at Ansal Plaza, having cracked the sales deal with Radio Mirchi. He got the fastest promotion in Ansal's history of becoming the vice president thereafter, guys. And not only that, he also co-founded www.fashionandyou.com, which became the first company again to have raised $128 million of capital. And he also is the founder of www.scaleventures.in and is also a TEDx speaker, and the list just goes on unfathomable. And today we will be having Sir talking about all of his experience, expertise, and exposure in the field. And with that, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of our Deputy Dean, Center for Professional Enhancement, lovely professional university, Mr. Narendra Garcha, sir, as well, joining us here today on this very live session. So over to you, sir, Narendra, sir. Hearty welcome to you on to the session. Sir, I think your mic is muted.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chanda, for
Yes.
having me. And let me once again formally welcome Mr. Rahul Narvekar, an alumnus of Harvard Business School. I am Essex Business School, Paris, and Rahul Narvekar, sir, has had a very interesting journey. And, I had the rare distinction of attending his session also. It was great, rather than introducing somebody while reading out his credential. I think it's always better to attend his session. That gives you a first-hand impression of about the person he is. And let me tell you, when you listen to people, those who come and they share their success stories, I think it's always better to listen to people, those who help people create those success stories. So that is the difference, which I found. And it was very, very interesting listening to him, starting with having a very modest, beginning from Charles to, studying in a small school called Sardani Pratap Singh Janta Vidyalaya. I'm sure he must be feeling nostalgic about it because those words, they still echo they still resonate. I'm also very passionate about entrepreneurship. So that session itself, I think, sometimes there are there are moments when you really feel that this could be life changing. So I'm sure listening to him would be a life changing experience for many of us, for many students who are around this webinar as well. And sharing about his rich experience, I know that he'd had a roller coaster ride, if we look at his journey, but though he's been pretty successful, and something that makes him completely stand out from others, that looking beyond the obvious. There's sometimes we have resources around, but then we miss the point. We miss the point completely. Here's one person who's looked at what is available around him and how can he, turn it and churn it in something which is more meaningful for the society also. I know that he had, when we say roller coaster, he had ventures from 0 to 2 crore and back to zero, and then probably taking it to the next level altogether. I was going through his LinkedIn profile also, and if you read the tagline, it says creating million entrepreneurs in next 3 years in India. I think that's a very, very powerful statement, because this is the need of the hour. If we look at the interest of the people and the resources that are available, I think we couldn't have asked for anyone who's better at sharing deeper insights as far as what entrepreneurship is all about. He's also indulged in a lot of sales initiative, working in real estate also, and also starting his own channel. I remember Oxygen, if my memory serves me right. So that way, and it'll be, I don't want to take much time, because it'll be lovely to listen to Mr. Rahul Narvekar, and I'm sure whatever we hear, we should we should probably listen to him, not hear, listen very carefully, because I think he's a magician. That's the kind of title I would like to present, and I'm sure it'll be great to listen to him, and it'll bring about a meaningful change in whatever we do in our day-to-day lives, and probably from how can we get into something more useful based on the resources that are available to all of us. I think that's what makes a difference. So with this, I would like to formally welcome Mr. Rahul Narvekar to this webinar. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Welcome to the platform. So with that said, guys, let us all join our hands together with the virtual claps coming up in the comment section, and welcome the one and only Mr. Rahul Narvekar, sir, onto the platform. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. So, Chanda, I guess I'm the youngest in this room, virtual room.
Yes. I mean, you are always young, and you'll remain young forever, sir.
No, I started coming in reverse after a few years. So, pehle I was growing older, then I decided it's time to take a U-turn. So I'm getting younger by the day.
Yes, sir. Now you started becoming younger now.
Yeah. So guys, my birthday is 1st of October 1972. And I think Narendra was mentioning my first venture in 94. I don't know how many of you are even born in 94. But so I'll tell you basically two things. One is I'd love to keep this interactive, Narendra, if that's better, because I'd love to take questions. But just to give you context, people of my generation, we were born in a country which is very, very different from the country you guys are in. Okay. So as I love to say, we come from what is called a constrained mindset generation. And I've had the singular privilege of studying in various kinds of campuses. So as Narendra was mentioning, my school was Sardar Pratap Singh Janata Vidyalaya. It was a very small school. School itna chota tha. Till the time I was in class 1, the school was in class 1, and when I went to class 2, the school was in class 2, and so on and so forth. But if I look honestly at my 48, 49 years journey, Chanda, one of the things that's actually stood out is that whenever something technically bad has happened to me, when things don't go as per plan, something really awesome has happened. So now in my life, I look forward to things not going as per plan. Okay. So the first thing was, of course, that I was supposed to go to a very nice convent school called St. Xavier's. And for some reason that didn't happen. So I ended up in this little small school called Janata Vidyalaya. But if I look back honestly, in Xavier's, I might have been a small fish in a big pond. Whereas in Janata Vidyalaya, I was a big fish in the small pond. And then as a kid, my father used to work for a factory. And till the time he was working for that factory and he was making some money on the side, We were one of the richest families in the slum. I was born and brought up in a slum in Bombay. And one fine day that factory shut down and it never opened ever again. So from being one of the richest families in the slum, we went to becoming the poorest family in the slum. And to give you context of that time, at that era, you used to have something called VCR, video cassette recorders. So in the slum, what used to happen is during festivals, the whole slum would contribute money, rent a color television and a VCR, and do what is called a movie marathon, back-to-back movies running throughout the night. And every family had to contribute 2 rupees. And we as a family could not even afford to pay that 2 rupees. Okay. So I was not able to watch those movies. Okay. That was the context. But one day, because of some fight like that, all the kids in my slum decided to ostracize me. They stopped talking to me. So I would come back from school and nobody's talking to me, nobody's playing with me. And because of that one setback, I developed a habit of reading. And today, to a very large extent, whatever success I've got in life is thanks to that superpower of reading very early in life. Because I was lucky to get a scrap dealer, a Raddiwala who was across the road from my slum, who had all these old issues. So I would give him whatever chiller, stand on the road and read. But when I was growing up, school, college, whatever, it was very different India. We had very limited options. So I did my class 10, and in my era, if you were a good student, you took science. If you were a not so good student, you took commerce, and the bottom of the pyramid would take arts. So even though I did not like science so much as a student, I was forced to take science because the expectation is I'm a scholar. Okay. So first year junior college, second year junior college, I took science, and I had to pay for my education. So my first job in life in class 11 was I was the ward boy in the hospital in Mulund in the night shift. Okay. So I would sweep the floors, I would wash the bathrooms, I would do all what a ward boy does, right? That was my first job. And then, of course, I did door-to-door sales and all of that stuff. But then I shifted to arts because science used to have practicals. I couldn't do that. So I took whatever. So I've done my broken education in BA Economics. But I also have the singular distinction of being selected for India's first formal program in business entrepreneurship in 1992. I also have the singular distinction of being the only student who was expelled from that program for being a troublemaker and asking too many questions. And the joke is, I'm the only entrepreneur from all the batches which have passed out of that college subsequently. Okay. And then, of course, I did my broken BA in economics from various colleges. I was in a very posh South Mumbai college called KC College in Churchgate in my second year BA. And I was not allowed to sit for my final year examination because I could not afford to pay 525 rupees on time. Okay. So I've seen that kind of a time also to whatever material success I have today. The idea behind this interaction is to give you some sort of a glimpse. So because I did that entrepreneurship program, but because I was thrown out of that program, I was so mad that Gusse Mein Aake I set up my first venture in 1994. Then in 1997, 6 of us got together and Masti Masti Mein we launched a music channel of our own, which suddenly started doing 2 crores in revenue. And obviously, we were poor kids from slums, suddenly looking at 2 crores in the 90s. It was unheard of. We just went crazy. So our success killed us. Till the time we were struggling, we were the best of partners. The moment the money came in, and more than the money, the fame came in, we started fighting amongst each other. And okay. And then, of course, I moved to Delhi, started from scratch again, met my wife online, which was a prank by my friends. I came to Delhi in 2001, having done Channel Oxygen. I was back Zameen Pe. I lost my job in Delhi on the day of my wedding, and my wife didn't have a job. So we never went for a honeymoon. I couldn't afford to go for a honeymoon. Took the first job desperation mein to work for a real estate company called Ansal. So people from North or Delhi can understand Ansal Plaza. I thought I'm joining Ansal Plaza on 25,000 rupees salary. It turned out to be a place called District Center Janakpuri. And the job I got to know after I joined was that I had to construct what is called an amphitheater. So zameen mein gadda khod ke I made an amphitheater, and then I had to make it a happening place. Again, things not as per plan. Luck would have it. Got a great opportunity to do a killer deal for my boss, Pranav Ansal, and got promoted straight to Vice President Marketing. My wife was working with Radio Mirchi as an RJ. Next few years were brilliant because both of us were making great money. We were famous. We were We were on page 3 Delhi Times like 4 times in a week. We were the it Delhi couple, chauffeur-driven car, big house in South Delhi, and all of that. And then one fine day, my wife's left eyelid started drooping. She started lisping. It turned out to be an autoimmune disorder called myasthenia gravis. And she was a top radio jockey of Radio Mirchi at that time, RJ, doing a show called Bumper to Bumper. And during surgery, this is 2005. During surgery, one of her vocal cords got cut, the other got paralyzed. She lost the voice. So head of ENT Apollo walks in and says she's lost the voice and she will never get it back ever. And my wife, very filmy style, asked for a pen and paper and wrote, "I will go back on air." Nobody believed it. The next 2.5 years, we had a yoga guy coming home and just doing pranayam and meditation with Pallavi because medicines were not working. And 2.5 years later, she got the voice back, made a comeback, went back on air as an RJ. Radio Mirchi went bonkers. They spent 3.5 crores in a outdoor campaign saying Pallavi's back. But इससे पहले एक funny story ये हुई थी कि till the time where like I was vice president marketing Ansal Plaza, Pallavi was RJ Pallavi of Radio Mirchi. We had hundreds and thousands of friends. Our phone book was full. We used to go party hopping. So evening we'd go to one party, then second party, and third party, and all of that. The moment Pallavi lost her voice because of cancer, and I left my job to be with her, 99.99% of these people just vanished. People just died over it. Nobody is calling us. Nobody's taking our calls. No invitation to any parties. And we were a little puzzled till we realized that most of these people were not our friends. They were friends of the chair that we were sitting on. So tomorrow, after graduating from LPU, you go and work for Google, Facebook, or you create your own unicorn startups, suddenly you'll have a lot of friends. Please sit back and evaluate whether they are your friends because of who you are as a person, or they're friends because of the position you are in. So today, Narinder and Vani, they are sitting on good chairs in LPU, right? And of course, people need favors from them. So that distinction has to happen. Of course, when Pallavi made a comeback, the network came back. I work for a lot of real estate retail companies. My last job in life was with a company called DLF. I was heading something called Mall of India Projects. I was absolutely thoroughly bored. And then I met this guy who had come from Germany in 2009. And we shook hands and I created a company called fashionnu.com, which was selling luxury apparel online. So we were the second startup to first get $8 million, then $40 million, then $128 million. And honestly, in that era, startups were so new that most people, especially in North India, thought this is some sort of a scam. So people, Narinder would come to me and say, "Aap aisa kya karte ho? Online बेचते हो? हमने तो देखा ही नहीं. We have not seen any customers. So what have you done that?" So when we raised $8 million in October 2010, our valuation was 170 crores. 4 months later, we raised $40 million. Our valuation was 1,700 crores. We were, by the way, the fastest growing e-commerce company on earth. We were Harvard Business School case study because of our growth. But honestly, most people in India actually thought this is some sort of a prank. Ye kuch to gadbad hai. They kept saying one word: startups are bubble, because you guys are all making losses. I don't see actual business. Everything is in the air, and all of that. 2013, I shook hands with NDTV to set up something called IndianRoots.com. Again, my business plan was to raise $3 million in funding, which is 18 crores cash. At the very last minute, our investor actually died and we couldn't find money. So all I could raise was 84 lakhs total. My business plan was 18 crores. Again, if I look back, Chanda, that was the best thing that could have happened to me, because that 84 lakhs became a $85 million exit in 3 years' time. So 2016, I sold that company. I mean, I moved out. And then since then, I set up my own fund. It's a small 100 crore fund where I invest in startups. But I started traveling across India from 2013. Usse pehle, honestly, people like me, born and brought up in Bombay, now living in South Delhi, we are more comfortable in LA, Singapore, Tokyo than we are in a small village in India, right? And I started traveling for work and I discovered what is called Bharat. So there is India and there is Bharat. India is, of course, the metros, and Bharat is Jalandhar and Phagwada and Nawaz Sharif. And in 2013, I saw a completely different world. And I started meeting entrepreneurs, and I realized that a lot of people who are from small towns have great talent, but they don't have access to the same opportunities that people like me have. So I created a community called India Network, And as Narendra was mentioning, I am on a mission to create 1 million entrepreneurs in the next 3 years at a grassroots level in India. So I want to create these entrepreneurs not in Bangalore or Gurgaon. I want to create them in smaller towns of India. And of course, I have a fund also. It's called India Angel Fund. We are focused on startups from small towns and women-led startups. So I've invested in 6 women-led startups so far since last year. That's my overall journey so far. But what I want to tell you guys is you guys are blessed to be in this age, in this country at this point of time. Because till 2019, there were only 14 unicorns in India. You know what's a unicorn, right? It's a company with a valuation of $1 billion. Okay. And I knew all these guys, they were my friends. In 2019, more investments came into startups in India than ever. And then 2020 was pandemic, right? COVID. 2020 was far ahead of 2019. And 2021, in about 8 months so far, we have had 25 unicorns being created. In fact, since July, it is literally 2 unicorns getting created every day. And today, unicorn ki koi ijjat nahi hai. It is a word called decacorn, which is a valuation of $10 billion plus. So your Oyo, Byju's, Paytm, all these guys are now looking at. And the general belief in the whole world is that India is poised at a point where for the next 10, 20 years is a golden era for startups and new age economies in India. So you'll soon have companies with $100 billion valuations happening in India. I will say, "Okay, boss, all that is good. How is it relevant to me? I mean, I'm sitting in college. I have 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of college still left. How does it matter to me?" Why it matters to you is because of this peculiar situation which is happening in Indian industry. About a week back, Bhavish Agarwal, founder CEO of Ola, made a tweet. He said, "I am looking to outsource my technology to a low-cost option like San Francisco Bay Area because Bangalore has become too expensive." What is essentially saying is that the cost of an engineer in Bangalore today is more expensive than a cost of an engineer in San Francisco. The second piece of information I want to give is there's a startup called BharatPe, if you have heard of it. BharatPe recently hired a lot of freshers, engineers as freshers in its tech team. And they gave them bonuses of BMW bikes to join BharatPe as an incentive to join BharatPe. Okay, that's one situation. So most of the startup founders that I speak to anywhere in the world, especially in India, they'll say, "Rahul, I'm not able to find good talent. The biggest problem I have is to find the right person to work for me." And if you look at it the other way, there are people like you who are looking for jobs but are not able to find it. Now, why is this huge gap? This gap is because of what is needed as a skill set to get hired in new age companies, not just startups. Okay, so if you look at a Flipkart, is no longer a startup. Oyo is no longer a startup. These are 10-year plus companies doing billions of dollars in revenues and all of that. They're not startups, they're mature companies. The skills that they are looking for, unfortunately, are not the skills that students like you are learning. Because unfortunately, the way our education system still is, with all due respect to AICTE and all of that, it's a curriculum which is increasingly becoming outdated. Because what is happening is 2 technologies have changed the world. These 2 technologies are machine learning and artificial intelligence, AI and ML. Because of AI and ML, what's happening is what earlier used to take 10 years is now happening in 1 month. So when I was sort of growing up, there was a very famous quote by a gentleman called Andy Grove, who was with Intel, who said technology will double its capacity every 7 years. It came down to 3 years, it came down to 18 months, and now it's rapidly changing. So any new piece of technology comes, it becomes obsolete very quickly, something new comes. So it's happening very, very fast. So you have to react very fast. And unfortunately, our education system is not geared for that speed. The 2 mantras of this economy are speed and scale. Things have to have fast and they have to happen at a scale. The second point is, earlier, most companies were looking for experienced people. So if I'm hiring somebody to head a large business, I would look at somebody with 20 years of experience, because that person with so much experience could quickly take decisions. But today, if I put all the data of 20 years into a machine learning algorithm and I add an AI component, I can do it in 3 seconds. So I don't need experience to do a lot of sectors. I don't know how many of you follow the news. Yesterday, Elon Musk has announced that is launching a humanoid bot, which is going to take over a lot of the mundane stuff. Most jobs will get completely eliminated because of this technology. Okay, so it's a new world that you guys are living in. And this world is tough to understand for a lot of people who are in the old economy. And that one word is called mindset. So when I'm supposed to be in tech. I have 2 phones. I don't know if you can see, I keep reading. I read like 3 books in a day on most days, right? But still, I have a challenge trying to understand a lot of the new age stuff. So there's an app called Snapchat, now called Snap. You guys have heard of Snap, right? For a very long time, I was not able to get Snap. I just relate to it. So I was in LA, Los Angeles, and I met the founder of Snapchat, and I asked him, Narinder, why don't I understand this thing? He said, Rahul, Snapchat is basically WhatsApp for 12 years and below. So if you're over the age of 12 years, you have to put in a lot of effort to understand this. And that is the world that we live in. So today, if you guys need to look at becoming billionaires, becoming entrepreneurs, becoming managers or product managers, whatever in this new age companies, you need to completely reinvent yourself in the period that you are in campus. So LPU is a fabulous, I love the campus. I visited last week, thanks to Vaneet. It's a 1,200-acre campus. They have everything state of the art. They have faculty, all of that. That's great. But from your own side, you need to put in some effort to make sure that you're completely connected to what are the skill sets that are required for you to either get placement when you get out or build connections, network, maybe get funded. All of that effort you guys need to put in. And today the university is putting in extra effort by bringing in people like me to help you do that. Okay, but I can only help people who want to help themselves. Spoon feeding nahi hoti. Okay, so I think I've given you enough perspective. Narinder, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to take it specifically.
I think I'll have more questions than anyone else.
Please.
Look, I also started my own, I had my own setup because whenever I used to see my mother greeting other ladies, they would not say namaste or sat sri akal. They would say, there's a lot of pain in my knees, whenever they go to satsangs and other things. So I come from a pharma background. I work with a US company called Eli Lilly.
Okay.
I worked there for almost 11 years. And, I thought there's something needs to be done because they are here to pray, but then they're discussing problems. But yes, for an entrepreneur, you need a problem statement. So somewhere I was getting a hint of that. And I began, with the team that we need to build on medical counseling. Because this is lifestyle modification, because we know ladies are overweight, the kind of food that we have. And yes, I thought of product like glucosamine, and I launched my own company, which was doing pretty well for almost 3 years. And it was roaring, in terms of business. But then suddenly, when we talk about startups or own ventures, it is a marriage of too many people. The marriage of vision, the funding parties, they may have divergent views. So that is where, it went astray and we could not hold on to it. And that's the reason then I came back to mainstream. I thought, let me now disseminate and talk to students and whatever I have. But sometimes, people have this in mind, the sustainability of, they say that if I pick up a job with a corporate or an established brand, they may live longer in terms of, the sustainability. But when they talk about startup, they say, "Arey startup hai, abhi thoda chalne do, abhi let's see kya hota hai, kya nahi hota hai," or it's too much of experimentation that's happening. So your views on that should we be looking at it that way or no?
So I'll tell you, brilliant question, Narinder, because most of the kids, when Chanda is about to graduate out, now she'll say, you know what, let me first work for a few years, make some money, and then I'll try and start up. Okay. But typically what happens is the moment you're about to graduate out, That is the time you have the least amount of risk if you don't have a student loan. Okay. Typically, you join a Infosys or a whatever, a nice company, you're getting paid well. So suddenly you get a car on installments. Your parents in India will force you to get a house on installment, apna ghar le lo, but you're paying a 20-year loan. Okay? Then you suddenly get used to the lifestyle of a Bangalore or a Gurgaon where you're going pubbing with your friends, you want the latest iPhone, and then you want to shop in the right places. So you suddenly become what is called, from low maintenance, you become high maintenance. And that is a golden cage, because then it is never enough. So I remember when I came to Delhi, I had only 400 bucks in my pocket. I took a place on rent for 7,000 rupees. Okay. So it was a small house. And the day I started making money, we bought a big house. And I remember that the first day, me and my wife, we looked at each other and said, you know what, this is so big. After 2 months, we said it's a little too small, right? Then we moved to an even larger house. First few days, we felt it's big. Then it became small. So all these things never end. And unfortunately, when you get into a job and you get into the trap, I have met people who said, 2 years I will work and then I'll do a startup. And 20 years have gone and they've still not done a startup. The best thing is immediately after on campus, and today on campus, I was very surprised to see a startup school on campus. You can do a startup on campus, right? You can build a startup, or once you exit. Worst case mein kya ho jayega? It will fail. But it will give you so much exposure that today the best startups are happy to recruit failed entrepreneurs. Because your learning in a startup is 100x of what you get in a corporate. In a corporate, you're put in a box. If you're doing this, you'll only do this. You can't do something else. But in a startup, it doesn't matter. Okay. Secondly, the skill sets that startups look at. If a startup is just growing, you grow with it. So in Bombay, we have local trains. There is a slow train and there is a fast train and there is a super fast train. So startups are like that super fast train. Agar aap kisi tarah usme chad gaye, so it will carry you. I'll give you one small example, Daridhar. When I was doing Fashion and You, we were selling luxury apparel, right? So we had this girl called Dia Sehgal, who was in the last year of NIFT Delhi, communication student. She used to come and write copy for us on a part-time basis. The product description. Her salary was 8,000 rupees. And because we were such a fast-growing startup, one fine day, my head of studio, she just collapsed and she said, I can't take this stress, and she quit. And mera kaam chal raha tha. I saw Dia samne. I said, Dia, can you just come? Stand here and look at it, I'll come back. I come back after 1 hour, I saw she's doing a decent job. I said, you stop writing copy, you handle the studio for me. And in a month's time, Dia became the head of our studio. And in less than 6 months' time, the girl who was earning 8,000 rupees was earning 1.5 lakh rupees a month with a 40-member team reporting to her. And in about 2 years' time, she moved on to another startup. She was earning about 4.5 lakh rupees a month. That can only happen in a startup. It cannot happen in a regular corporate. A regular corporate, after 2 years, you get a 10%, 12% increment and growth opportunities and all that. So I would say the time to take, and people think it's a risk. I think in today's economy, the biggest risk is not to take a risk. Because this is an abundance economy. Today, if you look at most of the largest companies or startups from EY to McKinsey, they say, I will not look at your degree at all. They will give you a skill test. If you pass the skill test, you get employed. You might be 4th standard fail. It doesn't matter. So if you do your startup on campus, okay, the best example, my favorite, Ritesh Agarwal, he's a school dropout, man. And he's built a $16 business called Oyo, right? And he's got the best of people reporting to him. If he had thought that, no, but abhi to main school se nikla hu, why will I do this? Of course, it took him some while to build it. So the best time to do it is right now.
Surely. I think that has left us with a lot of thoughts to ponder. The other thing, when we look at your profile, because you're at a stage when it is more about, disseminating what you have and giving it back to the society. And you said that creating 1 million entrepreneurs in next 3 years. I'm also associated with the Women Entrepreneurship Initiative from the European Union as well. And that's one segment also which, needs attention, because women at home, those who are educated or not, they still have the right to become entrepreneurs. But
Yes.
but the only thing is, when we go and talk to some girls or women in a far-off village, we need to understand the ecosystem. We can't be talking about ITs. We can't be, maybe probably I will be talking about, how to sell canned sarson ka saag.
Whoa.
That's
Okay.
that's the accessibility, the kind of resources, and that is something now for looking at your profile. I'm sure when you say you have defined the what of it, that 1 million entrepreneurs, but this how is this going to happen? What are those skill set? Because sometimes idea generation is which takes a backseat. Sometimes it is the funding. Sometimes getting connected to the right people across. So there's a strategy, because we people look forward to a strategy that this is what will work in your ecosystem. So this is the skill set and this is how you map. I don't know what I'm saying, whether it makes sense or
Yeah.
not.
I got what you're trying to say. So I'll tell you, Narinder, what needs to happen is what you have to understand. Startup, by definition, is something which has not been done before. It's
Right.
either a completely new concept like Uber, or it's a different way of executing an old problem, which is
Surely.
e-commerce. Okay. So if you look at old data to try to do a startup, it will never work. Which is the reason youngsters do brilliantly in startups, because they don't carry a baggage of somebody like me, right? Because we are so used to having data which says it can't be done. Okay. But if you look at both the two ecosystems, you look at the United States and you look at India. The US has something called the PayPal mafia, which means most of the top 100 startups have, all these guys were at some point working for a company called PayPal. And if you look at India, of course, the biggest and the oldest is Flipkart, right? Can you take a guess how many startups have been created by what we call Flipkart alumni? People who at some point were employees in Flipkart. Just take a guess. Chanda, any number? Abhay is saying 100, right? 5. Arshita, you're very pessimistic here. More than 250 as of last count. 250 startups have got created by people working in Flipkart. Why? Are all of them smart? No. What happens is, when you say in Hindi, Sangat ka asar. And I genuinely say this, you become the sum total of the 5-7 people you spend maximum time with. You become like them. Which is why your parents will always tell you, be in the right company. They're not wrong, they're right. So what happens is, when you work for a Flipkart, when it's just starting out, the first thing that happens is you get the power of what is called a possibility. You think, it's possible. Because for most of you sitting here today, if you look at people like me or all the other founders, you think, हमारे पास कुछ extra भेजा है. ऐसा नहीं है, दो सर पे सिंह नहीं है. We are also people like you and I. So when you work with people like that in close proximity, you understand, you absorb their habits, you understand and absorb their traits, and then you also start. And the other thing that happens, Narinder, is if I have known you and you worked with me in a startup, it's a very different kind of a bond, because we work like 18, 20 hours a day. It's very intense. So tomorrow, if you are starting something, I will support you. So you look at the most classic case. The largest startup out of Flipkart is a company called Udaan. Its last valuation was $9 billion. And the 4 founders, Sujit and all, they were all Flipkart guys. So the moment they got out of Flipkart, they had an idea. Guess who wrote them their first checks? The founders of Flipkart. They got their angel funding from there. Okay. And also what happens is, because it's speed and scale, wherever you get stuck, you get access to a brilliant mentor network. You can reach out and ask somebody, help me understand. And if you look at it, most of the best companies, there is no secret sauce to it, Narinder. Flipkart, Amazon, Snapdeal, Sabong, Myntra, all these guys were doing the same thing. उसमें कुछ formula अलग नहीं था. It's just that the way you execute it is very different on a day-to-day basis. So this proximity to people, and that's why I'm telling all of you students, starting today, sit down and figure out who's your network. Because the most common saying in our industry is, your network is your net worth. The amount of money in your bank is very, very correlated to the kind of people you hang out with. And it doesn't need to matter only physically. The people you follow on social media, the people whose stuff you listen to. So if somebody's, be very ruthless in putting out what is called filters on your timeline. Completely block people who put you down, who say, tumse nahi ho payega beta, who always, who are negative. Just block these people out. Start by interacting, connecting, and following people who inspire you, who have something positive to say, and who you want to be 10 years, 20 years down the line. That is the only thing. There is no other secret sauce.
Since I'm also behaving like a student here, asking too many questions. Last question, still we move to students. If historically, if you look at data, the ones the successful ones, I'm talking about entrepreneurs. They never got to study in any formal institute about entrepreneurship. So, is it a natural knack, or do you think it should be embedded in curriculum so that we make them think, towards how to become a successful entrepreneur?
So I'll tell you, it's a brilliant question, Narendra. But if you look at it now, what has changed in the world today is what is education? So earlier, I would get out of my house and go into a school to even get access to books, right? Or to any form of learning. But today, your biggest learning tool is your handset, right? Your mobile phone. We are all doing this. Most of us are on phones or whatever, right? So by definition, education, where you get educated, is a completely different thing from a campus. That's one. But if you look at all the successful guys, and it doesn't matter whether it's startup or cricket or anything, they were all part of a group of people who were all achievers. So if you look at Sachin and Benny Bansal, they were employed in Amazon in India, junior level. But because they were in Amazon, they got to learn, right? It's not a school, but it was their school. And all the guys who were in Flipkart, they learned from Flipkart. Okay, so you learn from that. That's one. Two is, if I look at most of these guys, we are all readers. We read a lot. Reading, guys, is a superpower. Writing is an even bigger superpower, but reading is a very good superpower. That's one. Two is, if you analyze something too much, then you realize why you will find an excuse of why it can't be done. But if you're in the company of people, and the most powerful thing, Narinder, is your mind. So I'll give you two examples, guys. Till 1954, the considered wisdom in the athletic world was no human being can run 4 miles under 1 minute. In fact, there were scientific papers, by the way, which said that if a human being is ever able to do it, his body will explode.
Yes.
So nobody ran 4 miles in less than a minute. And then a guy called Roger Bannister broke that record. He ran 4 miles under 1 minute. And guess what happened, Chanda? But the moment that news came out, thousands of people all over the world were able to run 4 miles under 1 minute.
Exactly.
Because suddenly they realized it's possible. Till then, their mind said it is not possible. Also in the 1950s, a professor at Harvard Medical did an experiment. He took 2 rats and put them into water. And the rats are swimming furiously. And then वो थक गए and they're about to drown. And this took about 4.5, 5 minutes. Just when they're about to drown, they were taken out, dried, and put back into water. Take a guess how much time they lasted the second time. One wild guess.
Maybe 2 minutes.
Chanda? 10. Geetika is saying 10. What?
Somebody saying double the time.
40 hours.
Oh my God.
They were able to swim for 40 hours the second time when they were tired. And you know why? Because their subconscious mind kept saying that, let me just hang on. If I drown, usse pehle koi mere ko bacha lega. Now imagine the same body which is fresh, put into the water, is about to drown in less than 5 minutes, is about to stay physically active for 40 hours. The point here is your mind is the most powerful weapon you have. So if your mind, and that's the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind. The subconscious mind, if it tells you, yes, you can do it, you will end up doing it. It's true in athletics, it's true everywhere.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think
But especially,
yeah, we had benchmarks in cricket also,
Cricket
scoring
also.
150 in a 5-day test, and now we're scoring 350.
Yes. So basically what I'm trying to say, startups by definition live and die by the energy of the founder. So if the mindset of the founder is, yes, I can do it, he will do it, he or she will do it. If your mindset says you can't do it, you will not do it. And how does mindset get formed? It gets formed by everything around you.
Surely.
But the most important thing is it gets formed by your habits. Your habits will define whether you're successful or not successful. And habits are formed by the people around you. So if you are with a bunch of people who are constantly cribbing, gossiping, bitching, the world is unfair, not, you'll absorb that energy, you'll also become like that. And But if the people around you are achievers and positive mindset and all of that, you will absorb that energy and you will also become.
Yeah, Harshita, if you can read out the questions in the chat box, I can see. If you're around, or should I be reading that? Somebody says, how big is the sustainable energy market right now? Would they be
So
venturing?
absolutely, see, understand the earth, we are all going through climate change, right? You're seeing everything that's happening. So sustainable again is a very, very big market. But having said that, please do not get into a venture because it's a big market or a small market. Okay. Get into something which you feel is not work for you, which you are happy to do for free. And then find a commercial use for it. And you'll be successful no matter what. If you look at the biggest businesses, they are basic businesses. They have just found a different way of executing it. So I'll give the best example. When Uber was about to launch, they were looking to funding. And everybody they went to, they said, but this taxi market in San Francisco is very small. They said, no, we are not looking at the taxi market. We are creating our own market. So in a lot of cases, supply creates its own demand. And if you look at it, when IBM had done a research on how many people would want to buy computers, you know what their agency told them? That in 7 or 10 years, about 90 people would want to buy a computer. And look where it landed up. So supply creates its own demand, and the space you are in today's world, don't go with old data. So don't look at whether it's a sustainable, whatever. Look at creating something which has a massive value and which you think is not work for you, which you are excited to do on a daily basis. Because it is hard, Narendra will tell you. Doing a startup is, despite everything else, it might not work.
Right. Yeah, there's someone asking that which has been the most critical decision that you've taken, which contributed or, for your success. So which what would be that?
So I'll tell you honestly, there is not one single decision that happened. Okay. It was small factors. But I'll tell you what is not taking a decision sometimes has been detrimental to me. So I have tried various things. And my mantra for success is 2 words: be Besharam. So the day you stop giving an F about what anybody else thinks about you is the day you'll become successful, because you'll keep doing more things. And the more you do, law of averages is some things will work, most will not. But that something that works will more than pay for what has not worked. So
Absolutely.
Do more.
Absolutely. And then, we're talking about mindset. I, read one question which said that we get more influenced by those negative influencers, and sometimes also that these many startups did not work rather than looking at the ones which really worked well. So shall we be, abstaining ourselves from getting in that kind of company or listening to those kind of people, those who only talk about failures, or maybe focus on the ones?
So I'll tell you honestly, Narendra, my simple thing is failure is an event, it's not a person. So Chanda will never be a failure. Chanda will fail at certain things. But what does Chanda failing in something mean? Chanda knows this is not the way to do it.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So there also she has gained something.
Correct.
Right?
Learning
And today's world, honestly, if you are seen as having failed in your own startup, you are very employable. But it takes a lot of courage. Because I genuinely admire Narendra for coming on this panel with all the students and saying, yes, I did a startup and it didn't work. हमारे यहाँ पे क्या होता है, we get labeled. IIT में admission नहीं हुआ, you are a failure. You did not get so much marks, you are a failure. Okay. But you look at in today's world, how does it matter? The beauty of this world, Narendra, is the old rules do not apply. I'll give you a simple example. Chanda, if you want to be a professional singer and make money as a singer, what is the one single talent you need to have?
Of course, a good voice, which is so melodious and
Pakka? You need a melodious voice?
I think we need to have a lot of confidence. First of all, to go on.
So, okay, let's come to your main thing, melodious voice, right?
Okay.
Have you heard of somebody called Dhinchak Pooja?
Okay, yeah. You need not be melodious. Every voice.
She's so bad that she's good, right?
Yes, correct. She's
so everybody
bad.
must have told her, don't sing, you are Besuri. She said, screw it, I'll not listen. She's kept singing.
Yeah,
and she's still making massive money, right?
Correct.
So that's the beauty of today's world. that there is nothing good or bad. There is no good content, there is no bad content. There is no good food, there is no bad food.
Yes.
You just have to find what is your superpower and find a commercial use for it, and that's it.
Yes, sir.
Connecting the dots is the single most important skill you can have today. There is nothing else.
Yes, sir. Being consistent and not giving up. I mean, even if you fail and
So this is, how we've been managing this pandemic. That technology may fail anytime, but then
Yes.
you need to have backup.
You have to have-
So I was. That's the reason. I've been reading those questions.
Yes, sir.
And somebody's also talking about that how difficult is it to get funding, and what kind of proposals and things needs to be done.
So, couple of things. First and foremost, understand funding. If you are doing your startup only if you get funded, then you're the wrong entrepreneur. Okay. Funding is not the be all and end all of life. But at the same time, if you're looking to ask somebody to give you money, it will take effort. Okay. There's a company which went asking for funding. That company's name is Google. How many times do you think they approach investors before they could raise their first check? Just take another guess. More than 6,000 people.
My God.
So a company like Google had to go and knock 6,000 times before they could raise their first round of funding. Airbnb, okay. These guys ran out of money. They're about to die. You know what they did to survive? There was a democratic convention happening in their city. They went and sold, some chips or something, ice cream, I don't remember exactly. They sold it at the convention to make money to save their business. So startups, you have to, as Chanda was saying, you have to keep at it, and not give up. Unfortunately, what happens, I meet a lot of kids, with all due respect, they'll say, no, I tried, sir, funding nahi milti. How many people you have met? 20. And for 20 people, you have given up. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. There's somebody asking, that how's the economy is going to fare in next 5 years, and how would that impact?
So two things. I wish I knew. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I mean, I genuinely mean nobody in the world knows. Because the thing with today's world is it's genuinely a VUCA world. Volatile, uncertain, whatever, all of that your teachers will teach you. Understand, the best people in the world did not know that the COVID would shut down the world for almost 2 years. Who knew, right? But if you look at this space, in these times, there are people who have thrived and there are people who have not survived. So if you're ready, when the economy is doing bad, you will build great companies. The best companies in the world are built in depressions and recessions. Because what happens when you build your company during a bad time economically, the moment you build muscle, right? Us time pe sab baat lagi hai, to you'll build. The moment it sort of takes off, you ride with it. You scale much faster. So the best time to build a business is when the economy is down. And right now, yes, the Indian economy has been down for a very long time. But the flip side of that is the startup economy is booming like nobody's business. So today you have a situation where a small company, BharatPe, has gone and acquired an old economy bank called PMC. You have a small startup which is not even 2 years old going and acquiring a Thyrocare. So the new age economy companies are buying out the old economy companies. Today, look at Tesla. Tesla's market cap is more than all the US giant automobile companies like General Motors, Ford, all of them put together. Tesla's market cap is much higher than that. But it takes a maverick like Elon to do that, right? Again, energy. It's the founder's energy. And of course, the circle of people around you, the friends, the mentors, your own mindset, all of that.
Surely. I think we would have loved this discussion to go on and on and on. And because I also have a lot of interest in this field, but I'm sure people still they are asking questions. Let's take this last question to how to handle legal issues, if there would be any.
Get a good lawyer. See, a startup means there will not be any end to any issues. The higher up you go, the issues will become much bigger. The only thing is, if you have a good team with you, you can sort anything out. And do not look at any mantra which will solve all your problems, because the day you solve all your problems, you're dead. A startup exists only because they're solving a certain problem and then they pivot into something else and they pivot into something else. The most successful startups are the ones who keep pivoting, right? Okay. So do not look at not solving a problem. Focus on building your muscle that any problem that comes, you will solve it successfully.
You said something very important. Last question from my end, that should it be a holistic approach towards a startup, that we need to bring about a meaningful change, or is it the profit that you make should lay heavy on your mind all the time?
So, Narendra, it's a very subjective question. So when you're starting out, when you just have, like a lot of kids will have an idea in their head, mujhe ye karna hai. That time profit should be the farthest thing from your head. What is at that stage is you want to sort of validate whether this makes sense or not. You know, what we call a proof of concept. Will somebody pay money for it on a consistent basis? So if you look at the biggest startups, as I said, the mantra of this economy is speed and scale. Okay. So the best example is Uber. When Uber filed for its IPO in the United States, it clearly, boldly said in its prospectus, we don't know if we will ever make a profit. Now, you have been a businessman, right? You think any regular businessman anywhere in the country would say, if the company is saying very boldly that I don't know if I'll ever make money, I'll continue to make losses. You know how much they raised? They were valued at $84 billion because they've changed the habit of people. When Amazon, for the first 10 years, never made a penny in profit. But then what happens is, in startups, what happens is, जो हाथी के दिखाने वाले दांत हैं वो और होते हैं और खाने वाले दांत और होते हैं. So Amazon doesn't make money in e-commerce or Amazon Prime. They make money from a service called AWS, Amazon Web Services. So I will probably, as a startup, give you something where I'm losing money, but I will make money off you somewhere else.
Surely.
So for most of these guys, Narendra, me and Vanith have been working on this. We have developed a program called Entrepro, which is a 52-week, 1-year program, where we'll do a small assessment of 25 minutes and we'll select a batch size of people.
Surely.
And they will learn. For the first 3 months, they will only learn one thing: to find themselves. Because a lot of us don't know what is our genuine passion.
Yes.
So I might say, "Nee, major digital, I love digital." But if I have to do digital 8 hours every single day for 365 days, I'll say, "Nahi karna yaar." You know, or fintech or coding or whatever. So the first 3 months, they only work on projects, live projects with startups and all that. We give them a mentor network. We have 1,000 mentors as of now, and that number is growing. And then later we give them access to live projects with the startup community of the world.
Right.
And then in their internships, we will get them to work for those startups. And the top 100 students of this program will get a chance to go and be in the world for their kind of thing. So if I have 20 students who I think will benefit by going and staying in Silicon Valley, Bay Area, San Francisco, we'll take them there. If I think I need to send 10 students to Tokyo, I'll send them to Tokyo. Punjab is very big on agri-tech, and Tel Aviv, Israel is the hotbed of agri-tech, right? So we'll pick up a few kids and we'll send them to live there, absorb that energy, learn from there, and then come back and do their startup. So we'll announce it soon. I mean, Vanith is the boss on that, so he has to take a call.
I hope there's no rider to it, like a student like me who is 40 plus can also join in.
I'm 49, man. But I'll tell you one thing, Narinder, one statistics for you. If you look at the global average of the most successful entrepreneurs, the average age is 42.
42. Okay. Great. So that's the right slot.
That's the right slot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul. I think you have added a lot of value to the subject, and I think you've left the students wanting for more. That's what I would say. And they've been asking me, how do I connect? Because you were talking about networking. So I'm sure you will get a lot of LinkedIn requests.
So I'm jammed. I had 30,000. I keep deleting. But I think for LPU, there is only one point of contact: Vanith.
Vanith.
He's the bully of Punjab, not even LPU. He's the one who bullies me into doing things. So you have to learn from him, because most people ask me, "Sir, can you speak?" And I say, "Okay." He's the one who tells me. So even for this session, he told me on a Saturday that, "Sir, by the way, he was after this session, 2:30 to 3:30, you're doing it."
Right.
He didn't give me a choice.
that's his art,
So that is startup behavior. That is how you do your startup. That you convince people sweetly to do things that they would otherwise not do.
Thank you so much, Rahul sir, for the compliment, in fact.
So
thank
Vaneet
you.
can take this up. I mean, you guys can figure out.
Sure, we'll be routed through Mr. Vinny. So thank you so much. Over to you, Chanda.
Yes, sir.
Summing
Thank
up
you so
the
much. I
session
have
up.
been listening, to the conversation. Oh my God, it is so immaculate and so ear soothing to listen to. And there were so many, lot of points coming up on board, lot of information. All the people who had a lot of doubts in the mind when they got in. I think all the doubts might have been cleared right now because, what better than, getting a chance to interact with the industry expert himself and having such great dignitaries join us, Narendra Garcha sir, and also Vaneet Arora sir, with Rahul Narvekar sir. It was really amazing. Interacting and a little bit of humor in between, a little bit of chat in between. So yeah, it was, overall a very, very great session. And I hope there were so many questions popping out. And yeah, Narendra sir was taking some of the questions on the other side. And yeah, it was such a fantastic interaction. So with that, I would like to hand over this session to our Deputy Director, Division of Industry Interface, to present his vote of thanks, sir. Vaneet Arora, so what do you?
So, it's one of the difficult tasks to say vote of thanks for Rahul sir's session, in fact.
Yes, sir.
And moreover, when we have spent those 2 days together, he was in campus last week, and we had 2 days of interaction on how to help you a startup lighthouse for the region, in fact. So thank you so much, sir, for accepting our request again. And we're looking forward for more such interactions in physical form when we reopen. And we're really looking forward to have you at campus again in the next month. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And looking forward to have awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Narendra Garcha sir and Vaneet Arora sir and also Rahul Narvekar sir for joining us in and for sharing your wonderful experience, exposure and expertise, in the field, and also for clearing all the doubts of the students. And it was amazing to get your doubts clarified, and we are desperately waiting to interact more with all of you guys. And with that, thanking everybody for joining us in today, exclusively all the dignitaries and all the students and all the people who have joined us via YouTube channel and also in the Google Meet, and everybody who watched this session via different social media platforms. Thank you so very much for joining us in. And it was fantastic, and I really enjoyed this session a lot. So with that, I would like to conclude this session, which was the interaction with the experts. So thank you so very much, guys. So with that, I'm your host, Chanda Harshita, officially signing off. Thank you.